Hey guys, what's up? It's me, Zach Silly Gooses Inc. here with this week's update of what's been going on in the D&D campaign. As always, the next episode will be occurring this Sunday at 11 o'clock in the morning, Pacific Standard Time, 1 o'clock Central Time, 2 o'clock in the afternoon, Eastern Time. And let's see, it would be 7 o'clock in the evening, GMT, and 8 o'clock the Western European time. I'm not going to keep going over that every single time. Eventually, I'm going to get through to you people as to what time it is. Eventually. Also, it's always in the description, so you could just go there. Anyway, it's time for the update. Also, I would like to point out that, yes, it has been a very long time since I've actually updated a Let's Play. There are a couple things that are going on right now. First off, I kind of cleaned out my computer a while ago. I mean, it was a long time ago, but I haven't updated Final Fantasy VI in a while either. So I need to find out where I put everything. I do remember saving Final Fantasy VI because I still have the Let's Play of it going. But other than that, I pretty much got rid of all my emulator stuff. So I'm gonna need to try and find it and all that good stuff. Also, my work schedule has somewhat changed for the rest of summer and going into fall term because, of course, my classes will have changed. So I needed to change my work around that. So I now won't be able to update Monday, Wednesday, Friday because those are now the days where I spend the most time working. The days where I have the most free time are Tuesday and Thursday. So I might have to change it to those days, and I guess maybe Saturday. I don't know. We'll have to see what happens. As you can tell, I'm updating this on Tuesday, so it's probably going to be Tuesday, Thursday, and maybe Saturday. Alright, so let's get down to the D&D stuff. So let me take a drink. Good. Anyway, so let's see, where did we start? The party was waiting for instructions from the Raven Queen in the town of Amon. And then when this episode started, first off, they sold all their out-of-date equipment. Like, Star Wars got the new mall, so he sold his old one, and basically they just sold it and did stuff like that. As soon as that was done, they got their instructions from the Raven Queen, which was to go out into the wastes on the edge of the Kingdom of Nereth's territory. The Kingdom of Nereth is like the big power at this time, and that's where they all kind of live. So they're supposed to go out to the sort of edge of it, where they will get further instructions. So they all head out, and it's kind of a wasteland out there, but they all head out. They're bebopping along. They run into a sort of warrior cleric guy who's fighting off a bunch of bandits. No one wants to go investigate the noises that they hear except for Stallworth and Stein Eric. And Stein Eric wasn't even there yet, so I was controlling his character. Stallworth decided to go, and I had Stein Eric's character follow him in case he got into trouble. And so he happened upon this guy killing all these bandits. And they mistook them for bandits, but they managed to talk their way out of it. And, yeah. So they did that. They did a heal check. They managed to patch this guy up because he was pretty beat up. And they all went on their way. Furthermore, what else did they do? I remember there was one other side quest I went on. Which was, oh yes, they were also exploring along, and they happened upon a chateau, which they investigated. They stayed the night, then they investigated the basement. They found out it was actually the home of this Drider who attacked them. And so they fought him off, and the Drider's been there luring people into the chateau to stay the night and killing them. So they got a bunch of stuff. David got an elven cloak, so his stealth is better. And, yeah. So eventually they got to the wasteland where they needed to get to. And they just kind of stayed there for a while until they were surrounded by a bunch of rangers, like the most elite group of sort of trackers and fighters that, like, the entire kingdom has. And so they were introduced to a bunch of people. They were led by Captain McDowell, and there are some others like Lieutenant Grant. There was this barbarian guy, this dwarven barbarian, which Stallworth immediately had kinship to. There are these two really young, like, prodigy sharpshooters, and there's, like, a complete noob dude. And then there are some others, but those were the guys that kind of stood out. They got hired on as mercenaries because they don't have the manpower to take down the orcs right now. Because they weren't sent out. They were sent out to deal with this orc problem, these orc raiders. But as it turns out, they weren't sent out with enough manpower, so they hired on the party as mercenaries. They got sent out on patrol with Grant and a red shirt and the noob. And they snuck up on the orc base, but the noob immediately screws up and alerts the entire base to their presence. The red shirt gets killed off immediately, and then the orcs brought him in and started interrogating them, and then they tortured him for a while. And we got all sorts of classic moments, like when the orc started asking Mary how many lights she saw, or, started telling David that he hadn't saved in a while and that there were no continues if he got a game over here. But of course, you guys missed it, so you guys didn't get to see it. Oh well. Maybe you should start watching these, coming to these streams instead of just listening to my recap. But that's neither here nor there. Maybe you were busy. I don't know. I better hope you were. Otherwise you should have been there. And I will punish you. I guess. I don't know. So, eventually, the noob gets tortured to death. But everyone else makes it out barely. They all had they had between 1 to 10. Like, I think the person with the highest HP was Stein Eric, because he kept using curative magic on himself. He used some on David too. But he had like 8 hit points. And then the lowest was Stallworth, I think, who had 1 left. But, yeah, he sort of challenged the orc chieftain guy, so even though he had like the highest endurance and all that, he still got the worst of it. So, yeah, they're all tortured to the brink of death, and as it turns out, what the orcs had done is they had found this underground bunker where apparently this advanced civilization was doing like work with eugenics and stuff. And yeah, it was around this point that David claimed he had never seen a single episode of Star Trek, yet he knew what I was referencing. Well, he immediately parroted back the lines Khan, and when Mary did it, and when I mentioned the whole eugenics thing, and when I started saying, how many lights do you see? So I'm just saying, maybe he's seen an episode of Star Trek. In fact, maybe he saw like 3 of the 2 most specific episodes of Next Generation and 1 movie, or he watches Star Trek. I'm just saying. He claims to like Doctor Who, and frankly, Star Trek is a better sci-fi series than Doctor Who. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with Doctor Who. I mean, I like Doctor Who, but Star Trek is better than it. I mean, let's just admit it. maybe you could make an argument that the original series is worse than Doctor Who, which is fine. Of course, then if you argue that, you're going to have to bring out what series of Doctor Who are you talking about. But The Next Generation is better than all of the series of Doctor Who put together. So, you know, that's just how it goes. Anyway, so, yeah. Eventually, this guy, the Orc Chieftain, he releases, like, one most advanced eugenics super person. Of course, this is not a good idea. It turns out to be a whole Alma thing. She, like, walks out and, like, makes people explode. So, actually, I wasn't... Looking back on it, she really is kind of Alma, basically. I wasn't actually thinking about Alma when I came up with this story. I did think about it kind of later on, but she was not the basis I was... that the whole thing was founded on. She did obviously come up, but, you know, that's a whole other thing. So yeah. So the eugenics person escapes, makes everyone explode, all the orcs. But the heroes, they all take off and run away, and then they have to make a death-defying leap over a gorge, and everyone makes it, except for Stein Erik, who I even gave him sort of a last chance effort to try and do one more roll to see if he can save himself and, like, grab onto the side of the cliff and climb up. But he failed that too, and so he just falls down, pretty much to his death. Everyone else escapes. They eventually find Stein Erik, who had drowned in the river, which was below the gorge. And they manage to... David climbs down, like, the gorge, and he does first aid on him, and he manages to patch him back up. So, yeah, I did actually, even after he failed, like, the 2 rolls there, I even gave him, like, a final chance where to, like, swim and try and avoid drowning, but he failed that roll too. So, yeah. But, yeah, David patched him up, and they all got back to the base where they collected their payment, and were promised the help of the Rangers if at any point in the future they needed it. And then they took off to go back to where the Raven Queen told them to wait, and wait for her there. So that's pretty much it. This was obviously a much shorter update video, because I only had 1 game session to go through. And yes. So, alright. Next Sunday, we will be continuing the story. We'll find out for certain what the Raven Queen's plans are. We might just deal with the crazed super person who's wandering around making people explode. And yeah. So, that will happen next time. Also, Selworth is still looking for his girlfriend. Hasn't given up on her yet. Yeah. Might just find her next time. I don't know. We'll see. So, yeah. That's it for this little update video. I hope you all enjoyed it, and I will see you during the next video update and during the stream this Sunday. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys later. Kiss, kiss.